So welcome psychology students to a video about the biological approach. A key understanding and a key assumption of the biological approach is that neurons, nerve cells and neurotransmitters have an effect on behaviour. So we've used this PowerPoint in class, but I thought I'd talk over it just to make sure that everyone's clear about how the whole process works and give you a chance to look at it a couple of times if you're not clear. Okay, so here's we've got a picture of some neurons, 100 billion of them in the body, and they all look pretty much like this, with a central clumpy bit and long axons extending along to carry nerve impulses around the brain and the nerve system. The nerve impulse will travel along the axon till it gets to the end of the axon, which is known as the axon terminal, where there will be a gap. A synapse is another word for a gap at the junction between two nerve cells. The electrical impulse has to get there somehow, and that's what neurotransmitters do. They carry the signal from one nerve cell to another across the synaptic gap. Here's a microscopic picture of how that would look in real life, but it's probably easier to understand it using a diagram. So the nerve impulse is travelling from the top of the screen to the bottom. This is the end of the axon. This is the axon terminal here. So as the nerve impulse comes down, these vesicles, these round things which are currently containing neurotransmitters, they release the neurotransmitters into the synapse, or what's also known as the synaptic cleft. And there they go. They will now carry the message from here into the receiving molecules on the dendrite of the next nerve cell. So these neurotransmitters are going to carry the message across. And look, here we go. So the neurotransmitters bind to these receptors and cause an electrical impulse into the next nerve cell so that the chain can carry on. However, we see that there are still some neurotransmitters left in the synapse. Two things happen to those. The first is that enzymes are released to break down some of those neurotransmitters. And any that are left are recycled and are replenished with new and used neurotransmitter. Now that is the whole process, and it's really important that you understand the stages in that process, because that will really help us understand how drug therapy works, for example, and how other processes that we're going to study in both year 12 and 13 work. Thank you very much for listening.